Okay, so in this video we are going to go ahead and set up our blink for our character. Okay, so just like before, I'm going to go ahead and select my mesh. I'm going to go to my shape editor, make sure that I select face shapes, and I'm going to go ahead and add a new target. Okay, let's go ahead and rename this now. This is going to be left blink. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and minimize that. Now, I'm going to select just the top of my eyelid here. Okay, my soft select is a little bit large. Make sure I bring this back down to 0.1 or so. Okay, so just select some of these faces along the top of our eyelid. Okay, that should be good for now. And I'm going to just bring them down. Okay, so I'm going to bring them down until about the corners of the eyes pinch here. I'm going to deselect a couple along the edge. Okay, I'm going to bring it down a little bit farther. Deselect this guy here. Keep bringing them down. Deselect one more. Bring it down. Maybe scale just a little bit here. And I'm going to rotate that eye out. The biggest thing is you're going to want to make sure that we're keeping, we want a nice tight seal around the entire eye. But you can see as we're moving these that we're starting to get the eyeball that's protruding in this area here. Okay, so once we get that about close for the top of our blink here, I'm going to go ahead and go to our sculpting tools. Okay, again I'm going to use the grab. I'm going to make sure that my symmetry is turned off because I don't want to be doing the left side and the right side at the same time. And let's go ahead and scale this down a little bit and start to pull that eyelid out. Okay, I'm going to go through and smooth just a little bit. Okay, make sure that this corner, I can see the eyes popping through the corner just a little bit, so I'm going to pull him over a little bit, smooth it out just ever so slightly. And then I think I'm going to bring the whole eye down just a little bit in some places here. Okay, so just like on the mouth, I'm going to go ahead and grab my bulge brush. I'm going to scale it up a little bit. I'm going to have my strength set to 0.01. And I'm just going to lightly brush on some of these edges just to puff up and kind of further seal that eye. Okay, so smoothing, bring that out, check from all angles, see how that's looking. Bring out the bottom here just a little bit. Okay, and something like that should be okay for now. We've got a couple of areas that we come in here and fix if we wanted to. Maybe grab that corner just a smidge and bring him up. Okay, but I'm going to call that good. Okay, so let's check out our shape before we finish up. I'm going to turn off edit, and I'm going to go ahead and slide this from 0 to 1. Okay, make sure the blink is looking how we want it to. Okay, and that looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save, just because I've been having some issues, obviously, with this thing crashing. And in previous iterations of Maya, creating blend shapes, you'd have to create left side and right side separate. But luckily, we can go ahead and duplicate blend shapes now and mirror them across our center line. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to take this left blink, I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to hit duplicate target. Now what's initially going to happen is we have two different blend shapes that are both controlling the eye blink. So you can see if I turn them both off, take my left blink down and then my right blink, and it continues to push that. Okay, and that's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that copy. Let's go ahead and rename this right blink. And let's right click and hit mirror target. Oh, let me undo a couple things here. Okay, so let me right click, flip target. Okay. So you want to hit you want to flip target and not mirror target. Okay, so I've duplicated the left blink. I've flipped the right hand side after renaming. So now we have two different controls. One that's going to be our left blink and one that's going to be our right blink. Okay, and now let's tie them into a couple of their own controls here. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab my eye control that we've already created. Now we haven't weighted this, the joints. If I go ahead and turn them on, these are the controls that are aim constrained to those eye joints. Okay, now we can fix that later, so don't worry about that face moving because we're not going to be using it right now. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this guy. Now I'm going to take this control, I'm going to go into my outliner and hit F to frame up that control. So I've got my mustachio left eye control, and I'm simply going to duplicate it. Okay, I'm going to scale him down a little bit. I'm going to go to my vertices, and I'm going to scale these. Okay, and shape it kind of looking for the shape of the top eye. Okay, so our top eyelid here. Move him up just a smidge. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate him and scale him in the negative Y direction. Okay, so that's going to be our bottom eyelid. And I'm going to move him down just a little bit. Okay, somewhere like that should be just fine. Okay, so let's rename these. I've got my left eye upper lid, CNTRL. I've got my left eye lower lid, CNTRL. Okay, and then I'm going to freeze transforms on both. Okay, and then modify freeze transforms. Okay, the other thing that I want to do is I'm going to want both of these controls to follow my actual eye control. So I'm going to select both. I'm going to select my eye control, and I'm just going to hit P. Okay, so now when I grab and move that eye, the lid controls are going to follow. Okay, so let's go ahead and set our top lid control to control our blink. I'm going to turn off our joints for now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select that top lid control. I'm going to go to my set driven key, animation, set driven key, set. Bring this window over. Okay, so with that control, I'm going to load the driver. And I'm going to be using translate Y this time. I'm going to select my mesh. I'm going to find my face shapes, and I'm going to load them as driven. Okay, and now we're going to control the left eye blink. Okay, so I'm going to go face shapes. I'm going to select left blink. Again, translate Y, and I'm just going to hit key. Okay, I'm going to grab this control. I'm going to move it down to the bottom lid. Okay, so let's say 0.075. Okay, negative 0.075. I'm going to select the left eye blink, and I'm going to turn that up to a value of 1, and I'm going to hit key. Okay, so now we have this control that is going to drive our blink blend shape. Okay, again, we're going to do the same thing with our limiting information. So again, we have negative 0.075. So let's go to our attribute editor. Let's go to our limit information, and instead of rotate, now we're going to use translate and translate Y. Okay, so our minimum we're going to put at negative 0.075. Okay, and for our max, we're going to put that at 0. Okay, so now we can't go any lower. It's only letting us go to 0.07. Apparently we can't have any more decimal places here, but that's going to work out just fine, I think, for what we're doing. Okay, so there's our blink. Okay, so let me go ahead and zero this guy out. Oh, he already is. We have him maxed out at 0. And now let's go ahead and set up the same controls for the left side, or the right side. Okay, so I'm actually just going to grab both of these controls. I'm going to hit Control D, and I'm going to drag them over to our other eye. Okay, I'm also going to freeze their transforms. Okay, so what's nice is that control keeps the same limiting information when we set up that next control. But first I'm going to select both these controls. I'm going to shift select that right eye, and I'm going to hit P. Okay, so again, they're going to follow that eye. Okay, so back to our set driven key. I'm going to load my new control. So this one's, instead of left eye, let's go ahead and rename this to right eye upper lid control. Okay, I'm going to load that as my driver. Again, translate Y. And our face shapes, this time it's going to be right blink. Okay, so let's key our neutral pose. Alright, let's go ahead and grab that eyelid. Let's drag him down to 0.07. And let's grab our right blink under our face shapes and bring that value up to 1 and hit key. Okay, so we have our right blink, we have our left blink. Both seem to be working fine. And if I want to, so this one, since we initially set it, you can see it's not quite closing as far because it wasn't letting us go to that decimal. I'm actually just going to rebuild the set driven key for this left eye. Okay, so I'm going to go back to face shapes. I'm going to go to the left blink, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to break those connections. Okay, so I'm getting rid of that set driven key. Okay, with that selected, I'm going to load that as my driver and translate Y. Make sure I select my left blink. Okay, I'm going to key my neutral pose. I'm going to bring this down as far as I can, which is negative 0.07. I'm going to select my left blink in the face shapes, turn that value all the way up to 1, and I'm going to key. Okay, so now that eye should close all the way. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video here. When we come back, we're going to add a couple more controls to the eyelids, so we can drop down the bottom lids. And I want to actually have a control, and we're going to adjust this limit information so that we can extend the eyelid up. So for instance, maybe if our character's surprised, we want to widen those eyelids up just a little bit.